Hey, this is Mark from Foster the People, and you're listening to 90.5 KCSU.
Your debut album, Torches, was released a couple weeks ago, and you have been selling out shows, including the one tomorrow night in Denver, throughout this entire tour. And how does it feel to be gaining popularity so quickly?
Uh, it feels really good. I had written songs in my room for so long, and nobody ever got to hear them. I've played so many shows in front of just 10 people, in a club before, and now now it's not like that. People are actually, the music's getting out there and people are enjoying it. So I mean, it's a really good feeling. On the other hand, it's been a pretty fast trajectory, and it's surreal. There's definitely a learning curve. Our lives have changed so much in such a short period of time. But I think we're just trying to focus on the music and keep it about that.
Yeah, and you guys played Coachella back in April, and you just said that you have played smaller shows for just a few people and smaller clubs and things like that. Do you prefer to play a large festival setting or more smaller venues?
I think it's different. I wouldn't necessarily say that I prefer one over the other. I think what's really cool about festivals is that obviously the energy, when you have 10,000 people that are watching you play, there's just something really different about that than the intimacy of a club show. And it's I think it's a good way for new fans to be introduced to your music, because festivals, they might show up for the Black Keys, but then go and get some nachos and hear some other band play and be like, oh wow, like I really like them, and become a new fan. So, but there is something really cool about just the intimacy of club shows and really connecting to your fans, and everybody that's there wants to be there and then just kind of stumble across it.
I watched your Coachella set, the live stream that YouTube was doing, and the crowd seemed to be really enjoying it. So I'm really excited for tomorrow night too. But last year, I dubbed Sleigh Bell's debut album the most versatile album of the year, and I think that Torches is a very strong contender for that 2011 title. So how do you develop such a unique sound, and do you attribute anyone in particular as an influence?
Uh, I think part of it is that I've been influenced by so many different types of music growing up. And so I've got a classical background, and I sang for the Cleveland Orchestra Children's Choir when I was a kid. And but at the same time, the Beach Boys were my favorite band. That was like the first band that I heard when I was like 6 years old that I just fell in love with. And so I'd say Brian Wilson probably has a pretty big stake in having influence on my writing. But other than that, I think it's I hate to try to write the same song twice. I don't ever want it to be pigeonholed. My favorite bands growing up are bands like Blur and and the Beatles and New Order and the Clash. And I feel like these bands, they didn't really let people pigeonhole them into a sound. They did a variety of things, but it also felt like them, and that's what we're trying to do with. That's what we tried to do with Torches, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
And your album is also very upbeat, lots of synth and really great instrumental parts and everything. But there's also some very dark subject matter in some of your songs. So how do you manage to keep that juxtaposition?
Well, I think I think that's part, for me, that's kind of a tool in songwriting. Lyrically, depending on what type of music is underneath the lyrics, it's going to completely dictate a different spirit of what you're actually trying to say. And I think that's the beautiful thing about music when it comes to lyrics, is that you can read a poem on a page, and it can be an amazing poem, but then if you put a melody underneath it, you can make that poem mean a million different things, just depending on how you sing it or what's being played underneath it. And if you think about like Pumped Up Kicks, if that was like a ballad, like a really dark ballad, I mean, that song would just make you want to split your wrist.
Yeah.
I feel like the message would just really hit you over the head, rather than be undercut by, the joyfulness of the music. And so, it's a fun thing to play with. Sometimes I'll write a song where the lyrics and the music completely match, and other times, I'll kind of play them against each other and have them be dueling natures.
Yeah, well, the subtlety that brings also in a song like Pumped Up Kicks is really great, and it's definitely a fresh new take on what people have been doing in the past. So I'm appreciating it a lot as a DJ and
Thanks.
As a music fan in general. Just taking it a bit more about you rather than Foster the People and the band, what is your favorite format to listen to music on?
Favorite format to listen to music on?
Yeah.
I've been really getting into vinyl, actually. It's kind of changed. It's changing the way that I listen to music because it's a really active process, and it's like you have to be an active listener to listen to vinyl. You can't. It's not like a microwave experience where if you don't like a song on the record, you can just double click the next one and change it, or hit the remote or whatever. So I think it becomes like a much more spiritual experience in a sense because you're sitting in a room and you're listening to the whole record, everything that artist is trying to tell you. But at the same time, if I'm just looking, like researching or trying to find new things, I've been going on iTunes. I just bought like a ton of electronic music on iTunes because I've been getting together a DJ set, which we're actually doing one tomorrow in Denver after the show.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. So, I'd say both, kind of all of the above, but vinyl's been the most special.
Yeah, I've been recently getting into vinyl myself for the same reasons that you mentioned. I think it's a different way, at least for our generation, to listen to music since we're not used to listening to an album from start to finish all the way through. We're used to downloading one song at a time and loving that song and then maybe getting a couple off the album and sort of...
Yeah, totally. And I think, as it pertains to that, a lot of times when you're listening to a new artist, you really only listen to their hit song or maybe they have a couple songs that you really like that, you heard on the radio or someone told you about. But when you're listening to vinyl, I feel like you search out the nuances. You start to find the nuances of the artist, and the tracks like the B-sides or just the tracks that other people wouldn't care about. A lot of times will reveal something about that their personality or reveal something musically that you never would have picked up before, and it adds a certain level of depth to them as an artist. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. All right, well, those are all the questions I have for you. Thanks so much, Mark. I'm really excited for the show tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow.